Hello friends, welcome to Derek Marana YouTube channel. Today we will be discussing about piston ring clearance and different types. There are three types of piston ring clearance: butt clearance, axial clearance, back clearance or radial clearance. Three types of clearance. They are butt clearance, axial clearance, back clearance. Back clearance can also be called as radial clearance. Butt, axial, radial clearance or back clearance. Okay. Then we can say butt clearance. This is also known as ring end clearance or gap clearance. Butt clearance is also known as ring end clearance or gap clearance. Okay. It is the distance between connecting face of piston ring. It is the distance between connecting face of piston ring or clearance between end butt of the ring inside the liner. Okay, butt clearance means it is a ring end clearance or the gap clearance. It is the distance between connecting face of piston ring or it is the clearance between end butt of the ring inside the liner. Okay. Here we can see this is the butt clearance. This is the clearance should be within the limits specified by the engine manufacturer. Here we can see piston rings of a piston. Okay, we can see the clearance should be within the limits specified by the engine manufacturer. It should not be more or not excessive. It should be within the limit. Here, a piston ring. Small gap should be there. This gap is known as butt clearance or gap clearance. The ring expands when the engine is hot. If the clearance is less than the minimum limit, ends will touch due to its thermal expansion. If the ring expands, means due to hot the ring will expand. If the clearance is less than the minimum limit, then end will touch due to thermal expansion. So the ring expands against the liner. This increases the friction resulting in breakage of ring and seizure of piston. Okay. Here what we are discussing about, if the gap is less, if the clearance is less, when the heat ring will expand due to temperature when the engine is hot. So if the clearance is less than the minimum limit, then the two ends will touch each other due to thermal expansion. If the ring expands against the liner, then the friction will increase and finally result in the breakage of ring and seizure of piston. Here we can see cylinder liner piston ring. Yeah. Okay. If the clearance is greater than the maximum limit, if the clearance is greater, then the combustion gas blow by and exhaust gas enter the crankcase. This is what happens. If the clearance is more than the maximum limit, then the combustion gas will have piston blow by. Then the exhaust gas enter the crankcase. This is what happens. This is happened. Okay. Then this result in the loss of compression pressure in cylinder. This result in the compression pressure will be less. And to measure the butt clearance, we insert the rings in the bottom of liner and ensure that they are in line with the liner axis. So if the clearance is more, the compression pressure will be reduces, loss in compression pressure will happen. In order to measure the butt clearance, we insert the ring in the bottom of liner. Insert a ring in the bottom of liner, ensure that they are in the line with the liner axis. Okay. So here we will insert the ring and we will measure the liner. But we measure the clearance between faces of piston ring using feeler gauge. So we will measure the clearance of the faces of the piston ring using a feeler gauge. Using a feeler gauge, we will measure the clearance. Here is what picture about how using a feeler gauge, how you measure the clearance. Record two sets of reading, forward and aft and port starboard. We need to record two sets of reading, that is forward, aft and port starboard. Okay, two sets of reading. Then axial clearance. It is the clearance from top of the ring to the top of ring groove. From the name we can say axially, from the top of the ring to top of ring groove. That when we check that clearance is known as axial clearance, top of ring to top of ring groove. Okay, here we can say that cylinder, there will be axial clearance from the top of ring to top of ring groove. Okay, here we can piston ring groove, piston ring and all. Okay, the combustion gas exerts pressure behind the piston ring and push towards the liner for proper sealing. The combustion gas will exert pressure behind the piston ring and push towards the liner for proper sealing. If the clearance is less than the minimum, then combustion gas cannot flow behind the rings. That's what happened. If the combustion gas exerts pressure behind the piston ring and push towards the liner for proper sealing. If the clearance is less than the minimum limit, then combustion gas cannot flow behind the ring. So proper FIT combustion will not happen. To measure the axial clearance, fit the ring in respective grooves that it rests on the lower surface of the groove. Measure the clearance between the piston ring and upper surface of the groove using a feeler gauge. Here we will measure the clearance axially. To measure the axial clearance, we fit the ring in the respective groove such that it rests on the lower surface of the groove. So we place the ring in the respective groove and place it the lower surface of the groove so that it rests on the lower surface. And we will measure the clearance between the piston ring and the upper surface of the groove using a feeler gauge. This is what we do to measure the axial clearance. This is what picture is look like. Okay. Here also we need to record two sets of reading, that is forward, aft and port starboard. Two sets, forward and aft, port and starboard. Okay. Back clearance. It is the clearance from inner diameter of the piston ring to inside diameter of the groove. Here it is the inner diameter of the piston ring to the inside diameter of groove. Okay. Inner diameter of piston ring to the inside diameter of the groove. This is the back clearance. Inner diameter of piston ring and inside diameter of groove. Okay. The thickness of the ring, it should be less than the groove depth so that outer ring faces inside the groove. Means the thickness of the ring should be less than the groove depth so that outer ring face is inside the ring groove. Yes, it's a mandatory. If there is no back clearance, the ring takes the side thrust. This results in high friction and possible piston seizure. Yes. If there is no back clearance, the small gap between the piston ring and inside diameter of the ring groove, then there will be no side thrust, no back clearance. So the ring will take side thrust. This results in high friction and possible piston seizure. To measure back clearance, measure by the depth of piston ring groove by means of depth gauge. We can measure by the use of depth gauge. Take both measurements in at least 6 different positions around the groove circumference. So we can take measurements at least 6 different positions around the groove. This is what we can do. This is depth gauge. Okay. The difference between the two readings will give the back clearance. Back clearance will be equal to ring groove depth minus ring thickness. So, like I mentioned, 6 different points we will take the reading, and difference between the two readings will give the back clearance, and back clearance will be equal to the ring groove depth minus ring thickness. This is how we can measure the back clearance. So we discuss about butt clearance, axial clearance and back clearance. Thank you.